welcome to the BMRA webinar looking at the benefits to companies of employing an apprentice and just how simple it can be. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Antonia Gray, and amongst other things, I'm the Training and Education Lead at the BMRA. If you can hold off for your questions to the end, we'll have a Q&A session and you can put questions in the chat or raise your hand. During this webinar, you're going to learn a little bit more about the Metal Recycling General Operative, or the MRGO, the first sector-specific apprenticeship. You're going to hear from employers and employees about the benefits of apprenticeships. And finally, you will learn how apprenticeships are funded and just how easy it is to get employees on programme. The MRGO took 2 years to develop and was approved for delivery at the end of 2018. It was a great example of a sector coming together to solve a problem where company hats were left at the door at every meeting. The MRGO was developed to ensure that by the end of the programme, companies had a well-rounded operative who understands the industry, the requirements of the general operative role, and who can fulfil that role to a high standard. MRG apprenticeships have to be over 18, which is right given the environment that they will be working in. The apprenticeship takes between 12 and 18 months, and the system of learning is based on 3 elements: knowledge, skills, and behaviours, or KSBs. Knowledge covers elements such as legislation, including the Scrap Metal Dealers Act, or health and safety procedures. Skills covers elements including the identification of metal grades and safely operating machinery and equipment. Behaviours being learned include respect for the working environment, customers, plants, and machinery. These are just brief examples, but there are dozens of learning points that the apprentice has to go past. Given the different types of activity that can be found on a metal recycling site, we decided to offer apprenticeships the opportunity to specialise in one of 5 key areas: weighbridge, ELV, WEEE, material classification, material handler. The apprentices need to learn the different KSBs for their chosen option on top of the KSBs for the core. Training is delivered both online and where required in person. The training provider for the MRGO is Met Academy, who you will hear from shortly. Once the training provider, employer and apprentice are confident of their ability, the apprentice moves through the gateway to assessment, where they are assessed being tools using multiple choice, professional discussions and observation. The MRGO pilot was officially launched on the 5th of November 2018 by the then Chief Executive of the IFA, Institute for Apprentices, Sir Jerry Berrigan, and that's our pilot core. Feedback from the first cohort was great, and you're going to hear from 2 of them later. However, to an apprentice, they all said fire training was one of the highlights, and no doubt this also offered real benefits to their employers. So that's the MRGO in a nutshell. So I'm going to step aside so you can hear from employers and apprenticeships. If I can introduce Susie Barrage, Managing Director of Recycled Products and President of the BMRA, followed by Chris Williams, Group Learning Development Manager at Sims, and Chris Williams, Head of Learning and Development EMR. Chris at EMR, can you just talk about the benefits to an employer?
I think in a nutshell for me, employing an apprentice and having a skilled workforce, it's got to help your business. It's going to enable your business to grow and meet the demanding challenges in this ever-evolving sector that we're privileged to work in. And as we all know, there's many challenges for our businesses and our sectors. Rising levels of competition, for instance, shifting markets, technological and organisational challenges, and let's not forget the current crisis that we all face. But businesses who are still going strong despite all of these, they've got one key core ingredient, and that is making strategic decisions to anticipate changing the market, and by investing in the knowledge, skills and behaviours that enable them to future-proof, for want of a better word, future-proof their businesses. And apprenticeships for me are a key core ingredient for that success.
Thank you. Chris from Sims.
Yeah, the development of the MRGO that Antonia's already discussed has been great for business, because now I suppose a hurdle previously was that there was not a sector-specific qualification for us. So now there is a qualification where there are relevant sector-specific skills that the apprentice and the employer can benefit from. Generally, apprenticeships, and certainly what we've seen with our guys that have done our program and other apprenticeships as well, generally, we do see an increased level of productivity, we see an increased level of motivation, and we see an increased level of customer service being delivered to customers. And also, I think these days, apprenticeships is also changing in that you go back 20, 30 years, it was very much something about employing maybe school leavers, which it still can be, but we're not restricted. So our guys have been slightly maybe towards the age 30 sort of bracket. So we're not now restricted to purely just recruiting teens. You can use this right across your whole workforce to skill people. It's great for also for succession, and when you're looking at who's going to be your future team leaders, supervisors, managers of the future, you're not just looking for the skills, knowledge, behaviours we talked about already, but also you want to be looking for, okay, so who is that person that stands out? Who is the person that shows that level of motivation? Who is this? Who's this apprentice that's going to jump over the walls and jump over hurdles, metaphorically speaking, obviously, with all the safety stuff bear in mind. So it's great for succession, and it's also great for funding. So as an employer, we've been able to draw down funding, and I think government now are doing everything they can to encourage the use of funding to get apprentices on program. So for us, it's been really great.
Great, thank you. We appear to have lost Susie momentarily. Is that? I think she's gone completely. So what we'll do?
I'm here. Can you?
Are you still there? Oh, there we go. Great. So Susie, perhaps you can talk through the benefits from a small to me as an SME perspective.
Yes. Well, I'm the managing director of a SME. We employ about 15 people, so we're one of the smaller players in the sector. But my organisation has benefited immensely from employing 2 MRGO apprentices. It was a journey we undertook together, and I personally found it a very enjoyable one. My 2 apprentices had sketchy traditional school education with few or no qualifications. So this also gave them an opportunity to pass their English and maths, and we celebrated their achievements all along the way. As well as gaining a professional qualification, their confidence certainly skyrocketed, and their enthusiasm rubbed off onto all the staff team. The rest of the staff team have really been boosted by this enthusiasm, and I'm delighted that the knowledge and experience of my long-standing and, dare I say, ageing employees is now passed on and won't be lost. One unexpected benefit is that their better understanding of the relevant legislation, such as the Scrap Metal Dealers Act and health and safety and environmental legislation, has improved their acceptance of it and their implementation of it. The funding available to small and medium-sized businesses like mine gave us the opportunity to train our employees to recognise standards, which I believe previously only tended to be achieved by the much larger organisations. And I like to think we're a more professional organisation now. Hopefully the MRGO apprentices in time will go on and take the new metal recycling technical manager apprenticeship and will be the leaders of our organisations in the future. In the interim, I hope that they join the Young British Metal Recyclers Group and start building those all-important industry networks and connections of their own.
Great, thank you very much. Now let's turn to the apprentices. We're going to hear from Henry, who works for Recycle Products, and Liam, who is from Sims. Henry and Liam, can you tell us why you did the apprenticeship and how it's changed the way you work? Henry, if you go first.
Yeah, it's opened many doors for me, such as passing my grab license and my forklift license, which now I can drive both bits of machinery. Also, passing my level 2 English and maths, which I never had as I left school quite early because I was on the England boxing team. So that was another great qualification for me. And also just moving forward in the industry and getting a lot more knowledge to be able to move forward. So yeah, it's been very beneficial to me.
Great, thank you, Henry. Liam, what about you?
First of all, good morning, everyone. From me, it was obviously getting to know the understanding of what we do day to day in the metal recycling business. It's very interesting. You know, you speak to members of the public and they just think we're like a waste group, but we're more than that. And it's really interesting. So I was really interested in the way that the process is and what the processes are. And also with that, like Susie said earlier on, with the health and safety legislation, you know, that performs a big act in what we do. Going on to get my forklift license, now for my grab license, and now I've just applied for an internal job within Sims in one of our feeder yards. So that's given me that overall strength and ability to apply for up and coming jobs within Sims that would be based as a general yard operative that I've trained for and I've done the apprenticeship for. So on a whole, I think it was a really good apprenticeship. Yeah.
Great, thank you both. So now I'm going to hand over to Joanna from Met Academy to talk about funding the apprenticeship and how you put an employee on programme. Jo.
Thank you. So could you go to the next slide for me, Antonia, please? Lovely. So in terms of funding an apprenticeship, all funds come through a National Apprenticeship Service account. So that is something that you'd set up through the apprenticeship section of the government's website. And if you are a levy payer, so if you are a government apprenticeship service levy payer because you've got a £3 million or greater wage bill, then you will already have an apprenticeship account. If you fall below that and you're a non-levy payer, then you'd need to set an account up. And if you need any information, then obviously here at Met we'll be more than happy, or the BMRA will be more than happy to tell you about how to go about doing that. It's a nice simple process. It's just an online form through the apprenticeship service page on the government's website. Once you've got one of those accounts, what it means is that you're able to reserve funding because apprenticeships all come with a cost. So for MRGO, the cost of delivering the programme is £9,000. For the MRTM that was mentioned, that's the level 5 apprenticeship, that comes with a price tag of £16,000, and that money comes through the National Service Apprenticeship Service account. Depending on whether you are a levy payer or not, if you're a levy payer, that money comes from your levy account. If you're a non-levy payer, then you reserve your funding from the government and you'll do that through the National Apprenticeship Service account that you've opened. That money then allows you to pay your chosen provider. So obviously if you're doing an MRGO or an MRTM, then it may be that you would pay us here at Met. If it's another apprenticeship, then it would be whichever provider you've chosen to use, your provider of choice. I think the thing about this is if you've got any questions, then obviously please just ask us. We're more than happy to signpost you or answer the questions as they arise, because for every individual and every organisation, the problem or the challenges that you may have or the questions that you may have may be slightly different. So, you know, we're more than happy to help you there. Antonia, could you? So in terms of incentives, as it has been mentioned, the government is very keen to get people onto apprenticeships at the moment. And so to do that, then the government offers incentives and has done for a long period of time. So currently up to the 31st of March, they've enhanced those payments, those incentives. So if you start an apprentice up to the 31st of March and they are between 16 and 24 years old, then you can expect a £2,000 payout for that apprentice. If they're 25 or older, currently that stands at £1,500. Now, this is an enhanced payment. It was enhanced from August last year. It was meant to end in January. They extended it through to the 31st of March. So I'll just keep my eye on that. It may be that it gets extended longer. It may be that actually at the 31st of March, those payments drop down back to £1,000 and £500 respectively. I'll let Antonia know once that's been made clear. In terms of how those payments are given to you. The first one comes 90 days after the apprenticeship start date, so when your apprentice has been on programme for 90 days, and the second one is due at 365 days. The payments will be made through your national apprenticeship account, and they will be made providing that your learner is still on programme and that your programme lasts for more than 1 year, which for the MRGO and the MRTM, that's fine, it meets those criteria. Again, you know, there's plenty more information available on the National Apprenticeship Service section of the government's website, and if you've got any questions about it, then please ask. We'll be more than happy to help you with that. And then Antonia, if you could go to the next slide for me. So in terms of employing apprentice, so Chris at Sims has talked a little bit about using it as an opportunity for workforce development, and it definitely is that. And as you know, we said, people have said, there is no age limit. Apprenticeships are open to anybody. You know, you can have people in their 30s, 40s, 50s. They're still eligible to undertake an apprenticeship. The funding's still there for them to be able to do that. In terms of actually employing an apprentice, then currently, I'm not sure if you're aware of the Kickstart scheme. So if you're looking to actually recruit, then the Kickstart scheme is the government's way of potentially providing job opportunities to younger people, so people who are currently on universal credit, and it's an opportunity to maybe take somebody on for up to 6 months, and the government will offer to fund 100% up to national minimum wage or living wage for up to 25 hours a week. So it's an opportunity maybe to look at giving somebody a trial, seeing if they're suited or not. And you know, there's nothing beyond that period of time, so there's no commitment beyond that. If you know it doesn't work out on either side, or potentially, you know, you've got yourself a really good employee, somebody that you've been able to sort of give a trial to. In terms of the Kickstart scheme, there's 2 ways that you can access that. You can either do it directly through the website, through the Kickstart section of the government's website, or you can use a gateway organisation. And they will be able to support you with the paperwork, and there are many of those. Again, they're all on the Kickstart section of the website, and if you want any further information, I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction. If you have got somebody that you're looking at and who you think would be suitable to come onto the MRTM or the MRGO apprenticeships, then all you really need to do is contact us here at Met, have a conversation with us, and we'll start the process from there. The first thing would just be an application form. So we've got some basic information, and then beyond that, we'll have conversations with you around moving that forwards, provided that that's the right thing for you and for your business. And I think that's all really at the minute. As I said, any other questions, then please just ask.
Great, thank you, Jo. So we'll now move on to a question and answer session. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to come out of full screen so I can see some of the Zoom capabilities. Kate, can you, while I'm sorting this out, can you just...
Sure, yeah. So if anyone has a question, you can ask it through the chat function, which should be, you should be able to access by the bottom of your screen. You can also raise your hand if you'd like to speak to one of the panelists or all the panelists. So, okay, so Roger, you can speak. Oh, I'll unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, Roger?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Joanne, what's the total cost then? We are, the guy mentioned you're a small business. Sorry, Susie mentioned she was a small business. Mm-hmm. Then we are a micro business.
Okay.
We are about to employ just 2 more guys, which would take our workforce up to 4.
Okay.
And, you know, the reason why I'm here is because of if we can get them on. But what would it cost our company? We are very tiny. We've only been going for nearly 2 years. And the total cost per each apprentice, is that 16,000, did you say?
So sorry if I wasn't clear. So the cost of the course is for the MRGO is £9,000. However, you don't pay that, the government pays that. So all that happens is that you have to reserve the funding. So effectively all you're doing is saying to the government, we'd like to take on 2 apprentices. They then reserve the money for you, and then you pay us if we deliver the MRGO for you. The only thing I would say is that depending on the age of your apprentice, there may be a 5% charge, because for certain people, usually over the age of 19, then the government will fund 95% of the cost of the course. So in that case, then the cost to you would be £450.
That sounds great. Thank you.
And obviously you get your incentives. So again, depending on the age of them, then you would get some money back. So, you know, again, age wise, it just depends, either at the moment 2,000 or 1,500, but that may reduce beyond the 31st of March.
Yeah. Okay. They're both over 25. And,
okay.
So yeah. Okay. Joanne, I think I'd like to take it further with you then.
Okay.
If that's okay. So do you have a, how do we get hold of Met? Please forgive me. Is that through telephone? Obviously, telephone number, whatever.
We're happy to send out all the details, you know, as a way of follow-up for this. We can send out any links or emails, Joanne's email,
absolutely,
everything like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, and then I'll get in touch with you, Roger, and book a time just to have a conversation with you, and we can, you know, we can sort of talk about it a bit more and in a bit more depth.
Thank you. Just a second question then. How much classroom, inverted commas, is to be spent for each apprentice? Taking them off the shop floor, with us being tiny, is going to be quite radical, you know.
Yes, so in terms of delivery for the apprenticeship, then the commitment that you sign up to is that 1 day a week would be time that they would spend undertaking study. So that could be that they would be in a like an online classroom session with our assessors. It could be that actually they spend some of that time completing activities. So it could be that they've got something that they've got to do, an assignment, so they'd need a little bit of time to do that. Or it could be that they're doing something in the yard with you. So it could be that they're doing some shadowing, or that they're having a conversation with you around an aspect of whatever's happening. So in total, we say it's got to be the equivalent really of 1 day a week, but it doesn't have to be all in one go. So it could be that it gets split across all 5 days, and really that's just about what works for you and what works in your business. And it doesn't have to be set in stone. It can be flexible, and it can change week to week, so long as they're getting the 20% or the day a week in total. That's fine.
Thank you. And third question, sorry about this.
No, carry on.
Is there a written down 2-year course, so they move through particular stages of the course? I can't remember the word of it. Chemo brain, apologies.
Syllabus.
Syllabus, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Is there a syllabus that we could look at as well and follow our apprentice through?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, as part of the discussion that I'll have with you, then we'll talk all about that. There's information on our website, and there's information actually on the BMRA website as well about the MRGO. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely we can talk to you a little bit about that and give you some guidance on that.
Thank you very much. You've answered all my questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Roger.
Can I just jump in there 1 minute? Yeah. Just so Roger knows. The £450, if you're liable to meet that payment, that's spread over the duration of the programme. So it's not that you've got to find £450 for that individual from day one. The payments that go to your chosen training provider are divided over the duration of the programme. So you're going to be less than £40 per calendar month in your contribution for a £9,000 qualification. So hopefully that'll help you with the financial side of things.
Sorry, he's still on mute.
Thank you.
Great. So we have a question from David. I think this may already have been answered, but just for clarity, do the apprentices have work and education times split up, and is there an advised ratio? And who assesses their progress?
Shall I jump in and take that last bit? So David, I'm hoping that we've answered the first bit about the work and education time, and also in terms of the advised ratio. In terms of assessing, So we would assign them an assessor at the start of the programme, somebody who is a subject specialist who would then be with them and support them through their learning, and it would be that person who assesses their progress. However, alongside that, we will also undertake regular progress reviews so that we know that they are roughly there or thereabouts on track to complete their apprenticeship successfully. And also, because if we do it regularly, it means that if there are any issues, we know about them early on, so that if there are any problems, we can get them ironed out so they do successfully complete their apprenticeship and they make good progress and sustain progress along the way. I hope that answers your question.
Can I interrupt there as well? As a mentor to my 2 apprentices, I regularly had to complete a questionnaire, and we graded the chaps as they were going along the journey as well. So you get input into it as well.
We have another question, and this is to Henry and Liam. Do your work colleagues take an interest in your other education day off activities? Henry, do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, one of my other colleagues was an apprenticeship as well, so obviously we was doing it together. And also, one of my other colleagues is the yard manager, Robert, and he showed a lot of interest, helped us a lot, and helped us improve and help us get the qualification really in the work kind of things. Like out in the yard, he was showing us all how to identify certain metals, the market value of certain metals, how to make more value of the metals. So yeah, they do take a lot of interest, and my colleagues have anyway.
Liam?
Yeah, so hi David, answering your question, my work colleagues are absolutely perfect in every aspect of every way. You know, from the office admin guys, to the site manager, down to even subcontractors. Each and every person on site would give me a little bit of input and guide me along the way. And even up on the course at the Met Academy, on a lunchtime I get a phone call from the guys, how's it going? Is there anything you need help with? If you need help, you know where we are, always ask a question. And I was also doing it with a guy from our Nottingham site as well, John. So you sort of work together, and also all the candidates as well. Henry, Christopher, all the other guys. We all work together. EMR guys, Sims, recycling products. Everyone just works together. You're there to learn, and yeah, it's just great. Everybody wants to help one another, which is another reason why I want to do the apprenticeship. So yes, very good. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? You can either raise your hand or put it into the chat function. Oh, Mark Collier. So if you could unmute yourself, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great stuff. I wonder if, I have a question on what is the take up on this scheme and the percentage of success. And the only reason I ask this is because about 3, maybe 4 years ago, we as a company decided to take on an apprentice, and at the time the MRGO wasn't about. There was nothing industry specific, and I sat with a training provider and went through I suppose what was a warehousing type apprenticeship, and then we adapted certain things for us, but unfortunately we had a really bad experience. The apprenticeship provider changed, the new one disappeared off the face of the earth. The young lad we took on was from a very disadvantaged background, which was why I actually took him on, but that became very problematic and it wasn't successful. If we go into this as a company ourselves, I mean, is there support from BMRA, from the training provider, and then also from other companies?
So if I can begin that answer, that as far as I'm aware of the MRGs have gone through, only one has failed to get through, but that was mostly because he changed companies a couple of times and there wasn't the follow through. the support is all, this is for the industry, written by the industry. So the support is always there. I think we've got well over probably 20, probably made 25 now, looking to go through the first quarter this year, I believe. So there is a big cohort going through, and there is always support. That's the beauty of it. We're here, and if you have concerns, I can put you in contact with anyone from the Trailblazer group. And if you want to link up with another company that's maybe doing it near you, to sort of have a buddy system like we had with the two guys in Sims and the two guys in Recycle Products, then we can enable that. The whole thing about this is it's an industry qualification. We want to skill up everybody in it, and we want to do it together. How does everyone else in the Trailblazer feel? Susie, Chris?
Can I just jump in there? I absolutely get where that question came from. Prior to the MRGO being in existence and being involved in learning development for most of my working life, I absolutely understand where you were coming from, where somebody tried to make a qualification fit this sector. That was never going to happen. With the best will in the world, that was never going to happen. Mm-hmm. You know, the reason we embarked on this journey to develop the MRGO was to write a specific qualification for our sector, and that's been combined with effort from all employers regardless of size. And when we talk about collaboration, we managed to put together collectively this apprenticeship that meets all of our requirements. And it's not been written by educators, it's been written by experts from within our sector, people that wanted to get involved. You know, best part of 60 to 70 people were involved in the development for the MRGO, people with 20 and 30 years experience in a specific area. And when I say collaborative working, we have no issue whatsoever in inviting people to all of our sites, whether it's Recycling Lives, Recycling Products, Sims, Norton's, Mellon Metals, and EMR. We've all visited each other's sites. So I can hand on heart tell you now that this program is a significant program. It's one of very few. In fact, I only know of one other program such as this that gives you core and options. In all of the apprenticeship standards that exist today, it's very unique and very, very special. So I would encourage you to ask as many questions as you want, delve into the detail. You know, we've got the opportunity to speak to two apprentices that have been through it. And I was lucky enough to see these guys on day one and see them right the way through till the very end. And I can honestly say, listening to them talk today about their experience, the feedback that they've given is absolutely fantastic. And I can see that their confidence has grown. Their support for this program is absolutely significant. So I would encourage you to give it a go. This is an absolute different beast to what you would have seen before.
Excellent, thank you.
If I can just echo that, you know, trying to shoehorn a warehousing or whatever it might be around what we do, as Chris said, is never going to work. But this sector-specific approach is a game changer, and also really just echo again what Antonio said initially about, you know, as we come into the process, we all take the hats off, and because this is a sector and industry-specific initiative, and we're all in it for, I suppose, the benefit of each other, really. And again, it's great what Liam said about, you know, we can lean on colleagues from other members' organisations, because, you know, we can all help each other through and have helped each other through the process. So I think it's great.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Is there anyone else that would like to ask a question? You can either raise your hand or type in the chat function. Oh, Roger again.
How will you contact, like, I'm very interested in this, I suppose to Joanne, will you contact me directly through BMRA? How will that happen? And how soon could we get a couple of these guys on to the course?
Roger, we'll send you the contact details immediately the webinar ends.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll email that across, Roger.
And Roger, I've got a full day tomorrow, but I have got some time on Friday, so I'll have a quick look in my diary and try and get something in with you if it's not the end of this week, Monday or Tuesday next week.
No problem. How soon will the next course, like, does it start in September? Is it something like a process?
No. So we're probably looking we've had to pause a little bit with the pandemic. And we are looking probably to launch MRGO cohorts in the next few weeks. We're just trying to sort of finalise some details. The idea is that as soon as we start to launch some cohorts, we'll launch as many as we can sort of get going. So I can't give you an exact date, but certainly you wouldn't probably be looking to September if need be. But we'll talk about that a little bit more when I contact you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? If not, then I think all that remains me to do is to thank all our panelists. So Susie, Chris, Henry, Liam and Joe. Thank you everyone for your time. And just a reminder that if you want to have a look at this again, we've recorded it, so it will be put on the BMRA website. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you have a good day.
Bye, everybody.